And allow yourself to come back. Come back into the truth of you. Unhook your awareness from all of the things around you and pull it inward. Really see yourself, visualize yourself doing this. Just unhook that attention, that focus. It's not that you're pushing the world away, it's just that we're pulling our attention in a different direction. Instead of being anchored in the changing sights and sounds, the changing sensations, instead of that, bring the awareness inward, into that which is unchanging. Allow the breath to be like the magnet for the awareness. Let it pull that awareness in and anchor the awareness in the breath. We're not working with the breath. We're not changing it. We're just allowing it to be an anchor for the awareness. Allow the awareness to merge into the breath as it flows in and flows out. If you get distracted, if the mind wanders or the awareness is pulled temporarily, don't worry. Just bring it back to the breath, back to that which is unchanging, spacious, infinite of you. As you exhale, allow yourself to just let go and drop deeper and deeper into the very core of your being. with each exhalation. Just let go whatever the mind is attached to. Whatever thought, whatever emotion, whatever memory. As you exhale, just let it go and draw the awareness deeper into the breath and into the core of the self. If you find that the mind still wanders, you can add a very simple mantra to the watching of the breath. The mantra is so hum. So hum. It means I am that. I am one with all of existence. I am one with the Creator, one with the creation, one with the unmanifest. I am one with it all. On the inhalations, just allow yourself gently, silently, to chant within yourself. So. As you inhale, silently within yourself, just that reverberation of so on the inhalation. And on the exhalation, allow yourself to chant slowly and silently to yourself. Hum. Just allow the mantra to recite itself almost on the inhalations and the exhalations as you stay anchored, grounded in that core of the self. The spaciousness, the expansion. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste. And gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome to Satsang. So beautiful to be together with everyone. As always, we start satsang with a question that's come in advance from our global family joining us online, sending in questions on social media or email. And then we open it up to any questions that anyone here has. And we have a microphone right there in the center. So anyone with a question, just feel free to come and share your name, share where you're from, and then share your question. But first we're going to take one that has come in advance. What is the biggest sin in the world? This is asked by Baldev Chaudhary on Instagram. The biggest sin in the world. I think, in the Hindu tradition, we don't speak nearly as much about sin as we do about ignorance. We don't believe in original sin, we believe in original ignorance. And we believe that the sinful actions that we do that bring us what you would call bad karma are done not because we are inherently sinful people or wrong people or bad people, but because we have forgotten. Because we've allowed the veil of Maya to cloud our eyes so we cannot see who we are. We cannot see who others are. And so we act in ignorance. And so acts that are seen really universally as sinful, violence, harm, stealing, cheating. All of these things that kind of any religion you go to, any culture you go to, everyone's pretty much going to say, yeah, killing is a sin, lying is a sin, cheating is a sin, stealing is a sin. But we believe that they arise not from a sinful nature, but that they arise because we have forgotten that who we are is divine. So we have forgotten that we are infinite, that we are whole, that we are full, that we are complete. And so we covet, we have greed, we have lust. That leads us to actions that are seen as sinful. We forget that we are one with everyone. If I am one with the divine, well then by definition, you are one with the divine. There's no tradition in which we say, well, God plays favorites, like one with me, but not so much with you. Religion certainly can be co-opted by society to teach us that, but at the core in actual religious texts, pure spirituality, it's always all. So if I'm one with the divine, and you're one with the divine, well then we must be one with each other. Right? It's math. If A equals B and, A equals C, well then B equals C. Like, it's math. If I'm one with God and you're one with God, I'm one with you. So we believe that sin arises out of forgetting. I thought I was separate from you. Therefore, I thought it was okay to harm you, to steal from you, to cheat you, to lie to you, because we're separate. Because I forgot. I forgot that you are self. I forgot that there is no other. So we see this as ignorance, as forgetfulness, rather than as sinful nature. That being said, what is the greatest sin? It's kind of an interesting question. I would say, on a personal level, I would say the greatest sin is to consciously, deliberately refuse to see the truth. Here's what I mean by that. Think for a moment about someone who is physically blind, okay? Literally, they cannot see. Problem in the eyes or problem in the brain, but either way, they literally cannot see. They have a cane. They're using a cane to get around. You're walking. That cane trips you, you fall. Or the cane hits you. Nobody would blame the blind person. We understand they could not see. There was zero intention of harm. It was just an unfortunate situation. But nobody would say, you stupid, awful, sinful, blind person. You tripped me. We all understand. There was no intention. It was because they couldn't see. In the same way, in our courts of law, someone who is deemed unable to be able to know the difference between right and wrong, someone who is deemed psychologically, neurologically unfit, what we used to call the insanity defense. They no longer use the word insanity, but it's not quite as politically correct. But someone who is unable to know the difference between right and wrong is not thrown in jail for what they've done. They're put in a hospital instead. Because we understand they didn't intend to cause harm. There was some other factor. Their brain doesn't function. Whether a genetic illness, whether they were on some medication that messed up their brain, whatever it was. Across the world, our courts agree that if someone does not know right from wrong, they belong in a hospital, not a jail. They cannot be held responsible for their actions if they don't know that those actions were wrong. Therefore, to me, the greatest sin is not a specific action per se, because you could say, well, is it a sin to take a knife and stab it into someone's chest? Well, most of us would say yes. Unless, of course, I tell you that the person who did that was a doctor, and the person they did it to had just had a heart attack, and the doctor was doing open heart surgery. At which point you say, that's punya, that's merit, that's a wonderful thing. So it depends on the circumstance. That's why I think the greatest sin is to have the capacity, the mental capacity, to know the truth, but to turn away from it. And whether it's the truth of who we are, we've been shown something and we turn away from it, whether it's on lower levels. For example, many of you know that I am an avid and ardent and passionate vegetarian and vegan, other than when I'm at a place where the cows are members of the family. Questions all over the world arise around, well, is it okay about this? Or is it okay about this? Or what about that? Or if you were lost in the woods, would you, eat a squirrel? And one of the things that I've said for a really long time is I'm not the moral police. I'm not the ethical police. If you want to go out and take a bow and an arrow or a rifle and go into the woods and shoot yourself, a deer or a cow or a pig or a chicken or whatever it is that you want to eat, and then you want to use your hands to skin that animal and to cut it up and then to cook it. That's a decision you've made. I don't agree with it. It's not a decision I would make. But I have not been appointed by some sort of cosmic authority, a moral police or ethical police. To me, the greater sin than that is the person who walks into a shopping center or a supermarket and buys pre-cut, pre-skinned, like ready to be cooked or about to be cooked meat and doesn't want to know where it's from. And the moment that you start to tell them, they're like, don't tell me, I don't want to know. To me, that is a greater problem than someone who, based on however they honestly see the world, feels the right to go out and to take a bow and arrow and to kill a deer and to eat it. At least they are conscious of doing it. Again, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. But what you could say in a situation like that is they just have not yet developed the spiritual, the moral value system to understand the sanctity of all living creatures. Okay, maybe they will later this lifetime, maybe in another lifetime. They will evolve and they will see the divine presence in all species. But they're not there yet. But the person who has the capacity to see the violence and the harm in what they're doing and very deliberately says, I don't want to know, don't tell me. No, I won't kill it. No, I won't skin it. No, I won't cut it. I want you to do it. Package it up neatly and nicely so I don't have to think about what I'm doing. And I can be unconscious about it. To me, that's a greater problem. Because that is a deliberate, willful, conscious turning away from truth. So again, this is just my personal, subjective answer to the question. But I think that the greatest sin is to not allow the truth to permeate. The highest truth of who we are, as divinity, as soul, as spirit, to not allow ourselves to see the truth of others, to not allow ourselves to see the truth in how we live. So many people, tragically these days, no matter what you talk to them about, the answer is like, I don't want to hear it, don't tell me. I think, wow, we've gotten there? Conversation, debate, reading used to be about expanding our horizons, learning something new, challenging ourselves, deepening ourselves. The willful turning away from a piece of information or an experience that might, God forbid, force me to think in a different way to me, is the very core of undermining the very greatness of a human birth and the very reason that we've been put here and the very gifts that we've been given as humans. Yes, very interesting question. Other questions? Yes, any questions? Yes, of course, please.
Hello, I'm Mark Lorena from Miami, Florida. I was just wondering,
Mark from?
Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. Welcome.
Thank you. So I was wondering, how can you free yourself from the complete, like from what you were saying?
Can you come just a little closer to the mic?
Hello. Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah, if you was just talking about ignorance and stuff like that, how would you free yourself from like the ignorance of like lustful thoughts? Is there a complete way to do that, or?
Great. Lustful thoughts. So first of all, we recognize that it's absolutely normal. There is nothing wrong. We are not bad, evil, sinful, etc. Lustful thoughts arise, actually, from the most basic instinct of life on earth, whether it is an amoeba, a bacteria, or a human being. And that instinct is to survive and reproduce. All of life on this planet has its most fundamental instinct to survive and then to reproduce. Everything else we do is done in service of, first, I should survive. I eat, I sleep, I fight off people trying to, take over my land or whatever it may be. All of our instincts, the instinct to eat, the instinct to drink water, the instinct to sleep, the instinct to stop when something hurts, the very instinct that we're sitting here with our legs crossed and our knee starts to hurt and we change the cross of our leg. Pain. It's a survival instinct. People with diabetes, for example, with neuropathy, who lose feeling in their lower limbs, tragically end up literally having sometimes to have toes amputated or entire feet amputated because they did not feel the pain. Everything we feel on the most basic level is there so that we survive and then so that we reproduce. So whenever a lustful thought arises, just bow to the internal biochemical instinct that has kept your ancestors alive for tens of millions of years, like your direct ancestors, not going back to the whole, amoeba thing, but your direct ancestors alive long enough that here we are. If lust didn't exist, none of us would be here. So that's the first piece. We don't make ourselves feel awful. We don't tell ourselves that we're sinful, horrible beings. We understand it. We bow to it as a biochemical instinct. However, we then recognize that as human beings, compared to amoebas or earthworms, we have a greater calling. We are here for more than just survival and reproduction. And that's where we learn that we don't actually have to be slaves to all of our instincts. And whether it's sex, whether it's food, whether it's water, whether it's sleep. We were just talking in here, I think it was last night actually, about sexual abstinence. even amongst people who are in, a monogamous relationship. But as part of a spiritual practice, people abstain from food for a certain number of hours or days. They'll abstain from sleep on certain holy nights. Some people even abstain from water on certain fasts. Not because food is bad or water is bad or sleep is bad, but to train the mind to know, I am not the slave of a biochemical instinct. My mouth is going, I need water. But it's near to Lakadashi, not drinking. I can not respond to it. Stomach is growling, it wants food, but I'm fasting. I don't have to give in. Body wants to sleep, but I'm staying awake all night meditating. I don't give in. Similarly, when lustful thoughts arise, we look at it, because one thing I can guarantee you, pushing it away doesn't work. Right? It's the very, very common, okay, whatever you do, don't think about an elephant situation. Right? You can think about anything, just no elephants. Whatever you do, nobody think about an elephant. Well, we close our eyes, and what do we think about? Elephants. You can't not. So if you have a lustful thought and you push it away and it's like, no lust, I will not think about a naked person. What are you going to think about? Naked people. I will not think about sex. What are you going to think about? Sex. Because the mind is not very good with the negation. So if you say no sex, no sex, no sex, what's the mind hearing? Sex, 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 sex. The no is irrelevant as far as the sanskars of the mind go. So instead, what do? You shift the way of thinking. And you can do this on so many levels, and I would recommend doing as many of them as you can. Number one, on a personal level, in your meditation, allow yourself to focus on soul, on spirit, this Soham meditation, or Om Brahm. Everything is Brahman. Everything is this supreme reality. A meditation practice of neti. Not this, not this. They're very powerful meditations, and I've led all of them several times, so you can find guided meditations of those online. They're all practices that remind us, I am not this, I am not that, not the body, not the chemistry, not the electricity. And as you do that, a thought arises. But you immediately realize, I'm not this. I'm not this. Not this. And as you realize that about yourself, you're going to start to realize that about others. That's the beautiful aspect of spirituality. When we say namaste, it literally means that presence of the divine in me sees itself, recognizes itself, and bows to itself, to that divine in you that is inseparable from the divine in me. So as I realize that about me, I realize that about you. Lust is an objectification. Lust is, I'm an object that needs something, you're an object who can give it to me. It's an objectification. Spirituality is the exact opposite. So as you do your practice of realizing I am not the body, you realize neither are they. And if you find yourself having specific lustful thoughts, like about a specific person you see or think about, just do neti for them. Not only are you not those instincts, but they are not that object. Not this, not this. Focus on seeing soul, seeing spirit, seeing consciousness. So instead of pushing lust away, focus on cultivating the awareness of soul, of spirit, of consciousness, of truth. Take yourself beyond those feelings. And practices like fasting, staying awake, not every night, of course, not even once a week, but, maybe on the full moon or whatever it is. Maximum, maybe once a month, But stay awake all night. Just to train yourself. Fast maybe once a week. Or once every 2 weeks, ekadashi, whatever it is. But bring practices into your life in which you are regularly being trained to recognize I am not that biochemical instinct. And it'll serve you across the board. Yes, of course. Lastly, for lustful thoughts as well as for any thoughts we want to free ourselves of, whatever they may be, a mantra is, to me, the most powerful answer to every single game of the mind. Because the moment the mind goes somewhere else, you just start chanting your mantra. It's like if you've ever tried to talk some sense into a kid who goes, I can't hear you, right? If you've ever tried to do that with a little kid. So when I was a teenager, I used to babysit for the neighbors' kids, and one of them hated bath time. But the mother insisted that before bed, she had to have a bath. She had to have a bath before bed. And she was maybe, 4 or 5. And every evening when it was bath time, I would say, okay, and just before I could say that, she knew she'd go, can't hear you. So in a way, in a much more deeply spiritual, mature way, the chanting of the mantra quite literally drowns out any other thought. I have used it as a life raft to grab onto in the midst of such a huge variety of unwanted thought patterns over the years. Because it just immediately fills the mind with something else. Like she literally couldn't hear me tell her it was bath time even though she knew it was. You literally can't hear that other thought. And so slowly, it's creating a sanskara, a new neural network. That mantra just becomes now where your mind will go. Yeah. Other questions? Yes, of course. You can come to the mic. Sure. And then you. Just one sec. He'll turn the mic on for you.
Fine. Good evening, Radhe Radhe. I have the question. I don't know whether you're talking about meditation.
On meditation.
Only the question about the meditation.
On the question of?
Only you want question about the meditation? Yes, something else.
Just questions.
Just question.
Just questions.
I have the question. You are
Okay.
talking about the peace, okay? Right now is everywhere. Everyone needs peace. Do you believe or not? Whether I live in USA.
Yes, of course.
Every country has problem, okay? So how we can get the peace, okay?
Okay.
Peace
Great question.
means we have to change ourselves.
So I got the question.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So as you just began, peace begins inside of us. We can't share with the world what we don't have. The example that I give so frequently is an air conditioner. An air conditioner can only give cold air. It's all it's got. It's wonderful in July. It's awful in January. Unless, of course, you're in the southern hemisphere, but that's a different conversation. But point is, it's only cold air. It's all it's got. A heater can only give you hot air. If all we have is anger, misery, ego, separation, it's what we're going to share with the world. And that's why, in order to bring peace in the world, which, as you said, everybody needs, we all need it. Our countries need it, but we all also need it individually, because it's not a coincidence that as rates of depression and anxiety and loneliness and addiction and all of that are skyrocketing, so is violence in the world. The two things are not separate. As we feel disconnected within us, disconnected from the divine, disconnected from our highest self, disconnected from others, disconnected from Mother Earth, we suffer. And we bring suffering to others. So to bring peace in the world, we begin with ourselves, absolutely. It's our spiritual practice. It's, as I was saying in the Arati this evening, it's that second benefit of spirituality. The first is you have the opportunity to attain Param Arth, your highest goal, self-realization. And as long as you're walking planet Earth, you actually become a much kinder, gentler asset to the planet, rather than a detriment to the planet, because people who are anchored and grounded and in peace inside tend to bring peace to the world. The other aspect of it, though, is our role and our responsibility as global citizens, and what we are prepared to tolerate because we don't want to get involved, because we don't want to hear about it, as I was saying with the other question, because we don't want to know. There was a time in history where we didn't know. And where, like the blind person, we quite literally could be forgiven for having our cane hit somebody because we literally didn't know. But now we do know. Now through internet, through media, we no longer have the excuse that we don't know what's happening. Now, there are things that are happening in the world that we don't have control over. But then we get to work in places where we do have control. Oh, I can't do anything about the starving children there. Okay, well, for them, I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray. I'm going to donate money to an organization that maybe does have the ability to feed them there, because I don't have the ability to feed them. But I do have the ability to feed people in my city. And so I'm going to feed the people in my city who I can feed. And for those I don't have control over, or I don't have the ability to impact, bare minimum, I'll pray. But I'll also see what else I can do. Is there some way I can have a ripple impact of some kind of good to them as well? But I will also make sure to bring peace where I am, because peace isn't just lack of killing with bombs or missiles or guns or whatever. Peace is food in the belly. Peace is clean water to drink. Peace is clean air to breathe. Peace is access to human rights, to freedom, to an education. And so as we work for peace, we recognize the importance of both our internal peace, but we also recognize the importance of an expanded definition of peace. Yeah, thank you. Lastly, her. I'm going to, if it's okay, do me a favor, let me take her question first, just so we have an opportunity, and then if we have time, we'll come back to you. Sure, of course. Yeah.
Atma Namaste. I'm Sonali from Calcutta. I have a question. How do I detach and at the same time stay attached to my near and dear ones, especially my family, my husband, my children?
Great. So the goal is to love your near and dear ones, but not to be attached. Now, I know that's difficult. Some may even say it's impossible. That's okay, try anyway. If you can even get this much, it's wonderful. But what does it mean? Non-attachment doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean disconnection. It doesn't mean I don't care. A lot of people think that, tragically. I can't tell you the number of people I've heard who have said, oh, you know, I've gotten really good at detachment. Like, you know, my kid was sick and I didn't even care. Or, you know, my brother's homeless and I'm happy anyway. And you're like, that's not where our spirituality is supposed to be taking us. It is not indifference. It is not apathy. It is not disconnection. It is not lack of caring. What it is very simple. Someone else's thoughts, words, actions, choices, karmic package does not have the ability to steal your anchoring, your grounding, your peace, your truth. That's all it means. I don't need you to speak in a certain way, act in a certain way, dress in a certain way, think in a certain way, decide, choose, live in a certain way in order for me to be okay. That is what we mean when we say detachment. It means I am able to be anchored and grounded. I'm able to connect to soul, to spirit, to divinity without my mind being hijacked, quite literally, by, did he eat his lunch? Did she remember her jacket? Are they going to love me for what I've just done? Did they really walk out of the house in those ripped jeans? Oh my God, what are the neighbors going to think, that I didn't raise her properly? Oh my God, has she come home yet? She went on this date, but it's 10 o'clock at night. Is she home? See, these are the sorts of things that interfere with our meditative practice. As anybody who's a parent or a spouse or knows, you sit to meditate and the mind is like, oh, did he pick up his lunch from the table? Oh, I forgot to make sure to stick the jacket in her backpack. It's going to be cold today. Detachment is not, I don't care. Detachment is, right now, I'm focusing on that highest, deepest, truest aspect of myself. They've already left the house. They're still in the house. Okay, stand up from your meditation to make sure they got their jacket and then come back and meditate. But they're already gone. They remembered their lunch or they didn't. They remembered their jacket or they didn't. Nothing you can do about it. They walked out of the house in the ripped jeans. Nothing you can do about it. They're out on the date. You don't know where they are. They're not home yet. Nothing you can do about it. Can you free your mind so that you can be peaceful, joyful, anchored, grounded, meditated in the face of all of that? They've yelled at you. They've said, I hate you. You're the worst mom because you didn't let me do X, Y, or Z. You've had a fight. They've made a choice. You want them to go off to college. They've decided they want to be a musician instead. You're bereft. You found the exact right marital partner. They don't want anything to do with them. You're panicked. Oh my God. Can you, in all of these circumstances, find your peace, your joy, your grounding, your anchoring, consciousness, soul, spirit, divinity, perfection? Again, it's not that you don't care. It's not that you're indifferent or apathetic. It's just that this is not hooked in quite literally to what they're doing. That's the detachment. It's exactly like the meditation I did in the beginning. Unhook your awareness, your attention, your internal world from that which is constantly happening and changing outside. That's the detachment. And I'll tell you something ironic. The more detached you can be, the better your relationships will be. Because love thrives in expansion and freedom. Attachment contracts. It is a box. It suffocates you and it suffocates the one you're attached to. But the moment you can let go of that attachment, I love you fully and completely, even though I think deciding to be a musician instead of going to college is the absolute worst decision you could possibly ever make. I love you fully and completely, even though I really think that you should marry this person I have found for you, and I think you're going to regret it forever. I love you fully and completely, even though I am mortified at what you're wearing when you walk out of the house. And I have no idea how I'm going to face the neighbors. But I love you fully anyway. That's detachment. And it's the best thing you can do for yourself and for the relationship. Great. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. We will take your question first tomorrow. We'll start with you tomorrow. And we'll take your other question tomorrow as well. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evenings, a beautiful morning and day to our family joining from all over the world. I look so forward to being together tomorrow. I do hope that all of you come directly from the Ganga Aarti, so it's really obvious when satsang's going to start, because it's always, 10, 12, 15 minutes after the Aarti ends. On the off chance that anyone is coming directly without coming to the Aarti first, we'll be starting satsang a little bit earlier in the coming days. You'll notice today we started earlier than we have been because we're starting Aarti a little bit earlier. As the winter time is coming, rather than starting Aarti closer to 6, we're starting closer to 5:30, 5:45. So inevitably it's going to end earlier. So we'll be gathering in here closer to 6:45-ish rather than 7:15-ish. But I do really hope and recommend that everybody just comes to the Aarti first. It's heaven. And then, of course, anyway, you'll know exactly when to come into satsang.
Thank you, Pujya Sadhviji, and thank you for your wisdom.